My sisters, hear me clearly today. Sometimes losing love is not the end, but the beginning of your power. Many times the heartbreak that you thought would destroy you is the very pain that God uses to shape you, refine you, and remind you of your worth. We often think love is everything, but love, when misplaced or misunderstood, can keep you small. It can silence your voice, dim your light, and make you forget the queen you were created to be. But when that love is lost, when it slips away, when it breaks apart, you may find yourself standing in front of a mirror asking, "Who am I now?" And that's when power begins to awaken. Pain is a teacher, not a punisher. When a woman loses love, she feels pain deeply, but pain has purpose. It is not sent to destroy her, it is sent to instruct her. Pain teaches lessons that comfort never can. It shows her where she gave too much, where she ignored red flags, where she put someone else's needs above her own soul. Pain is the classroom where wisdom is born. The woman who listens to the lessons of her pain will never be the same again. She will rise sharper, stronger, and more discerning than before. Rediscovering self-worth. Sometimes in love, a woman pours herself out until her cup is empty. She gives so much that she forgets her own value. But when that love is gone, she has no choice but to look within and ask, "What do I deserve? Who am I without them?" That's when her worth reawakens. She starts to remember that her value was never tied to someone else's love. It was built into her by God from the very beginning. Losing love makes her recognize that she is not defined by who left her, but by who she truly is. Strength is built in solitude. There is a power that only comes when you stand alone. Losing love often leaves a woman feeling isolated, but in that solitude her strength is forged. Alone she discovers she can handle life's storms, she can pay her own bills, raise her children, chase her dreams, and build her empire without needing someone to validate her. The woman who learns to stand strong in her solitude will never again fear being alone because she has realized she is whole by herself. Vision becomes clearer after heartbreak love, when toxic or unhealthy can cloud vision. A woman in love may ignore her dreams, silence her purpose, or shrink her goals. But when that love ends, suddenly the fog lifts. She sees possibilities she couldn't see before. She rediscovers her gifts, her talents, her ambitions. Heartbreak becomes the clearing that allows her to chase her destiny. Many women have birthed businesses, ministries, art, and movements after heartbreak because losing love gave them back their vision. Boundaries become non-negotiable once a woman has lost love and walked through the fire of heartbreak. She begins to set boundaries like never before. She learns to say no to disrespect, no to manipulation, no to half-hearted love. She no longer entertains people who only come to take from her because she has tasted the pain of settling, and she refuses to settle again. Losing love teaches her to protect her peace and to demand the love she truly deserves. Awakening her divine power at the end of it all, losing love brings a woman back to her source, back to God, back to herself, back to her inner strength. She realizes that her power is not in who she loves, but in who she becomes. She is awakened to the truth that she is already enough. She doesn't need to chase love, beg for love, or cling to love. She is love. And from that awakening, she walks boldly, speaks confidently, and lives freely, never again allowing broken love to break her spirit. So, my sisters, hear me. Losing love can be a painful ending, but it can also be a powerful beginning. It can strip away illusions, but it will reveal the truth. It may break your heart, but it will also build your strength. Do not fear the loss. Embrace the awakening. Because sometimes losing love is exactly what it takes for a woman to rise into her power and become everything she was created to be. When a woman loses love, the first thing she feels is pain. That pain can feel like a storm that will never end, like a wound too deep to heal. But I want you to understand something. Pain is not here to punish you, it is here to teach you. Every tear you cry, every sleepless night, every ache in your chest, it all carries a lesson. You see, comfort never pushes you to grow, but pain always does. When you're comfortable, you stay still. You keep repeating the same patterns. You keep accepting less than you deserve because it doesn't hurt enough to change. But when love is lost and the pain hits your soul, that's when you're forced to pay attention. That's when God says, "Daughter, it's time to learn. It's time to see what you could not see before." Pain shows you the truth that love had covered. Pain makes you replay the moments when you ignored the red flags, when you silenced your intuition, when you gave chance after chance hoping someone would change. Pain exposes where you gave too much of yourself, where you forgot your own needs, where you thought love meant sacrificing your joy. That pain is the wake-up call that says never again. It's the reminder that your heart is too precious to be mishandled, and your time is too valuable to be wasted. The beauty of pain is that it refines you. Think about gold. It doesn't shine until it's put through fire. The fire burns away everything that is not pure, and what comes out is stronger, more valuable, and more radiant. In the same way, heartbreak is your fire. It burns away illusions. It strips away the false promises. It removes the weight of relationships that were never meant for you. And yes, it hurts, but it also reveals your strength. If you choose to listen to the lessons pain is teaching, you will never be the same again. You'll start to notice how wise you've become. You'll start recognizing patterns you once overlooked. You'll start setting standards you never thought you had the courage to demand. That's the power of pain. It graduates you from who you were into who you're meant to be. So don't run from your pain. Don't numb it. Don't bury it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Sit with it, listen to it, and let it guide you. Because pain is not your enemy, it is your teacher. And once you've learned from it, you'll carry wisdom that no book, no seminar, no easy season of life could ever give you. You'll rise stronger, wiser, and more powerful than the woman who walked into that love. When a woman loses love, one of the most important things that happens is the rediscovery of her worth. You see, love has a way of making her pour so much of herself into another person that she sometimes forgets who she is without them. She bends, she gives, she sacrifices, and before long, she may not even recognize her reflection in the mirror. Her dreams are on hold, her joy is dimmed, her laughter doesn't sound the same because she has given so much of her energy to holding on to someone who doesn't see her full value. But when that love is gone, when it slips away or falls apart, she is left with herself, and in that moment of stillness she starts to remember. She remembers that her value was never tied to a relationship. It was never determined by how much someone else loved her, or if they loved her at all. Her value was placed inside her the moment God created her. She was already chosen, already worthy, already enough, before any man ever came into her life. But sometimes it takes the loss of love to awaken that truth. When she's forced to stand alone, she begins to see herself clearly again. She begins to recognize her beauty, not just the beauty on the outside, but the strength, the compassion, the resilience on the inside. The rediscovery of self-worth is like a woman reclaiming her crown. She might have taken it off for a while, set it aside to make someone else comfortable, but losing love makes her realize she was never meant to walk without it. She is a queen not because someone calls her one, but because she was created to be one. And once she sees that again, her entire energy shifts. She no longer begs for attention. She no longer accepts crumbs. She no longer entertains people who cannot see her value. She understands that anyone who cannot honor her worth does not deserve access to her life. This rediscovery changes the way she walks into rooms. It changes the way she speaks about herself. It changes the standards she sets in her relationships, in her friendships, even in her career. She starts to believe again in her own voice, her own dreams, her own purpose. She looks in the mirror and says, I am enough, with or without anyone by my side. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken because it is rooted in truth. Losing love may hurt, but it strips away the illusions and makes a woman face the one person she can never lose herself. And when she rediscovers her worth, she becomes unstoppable, because a woman who knows her value will never again settle for less. There's a strength that only comes when you stand alone, and many women don't realize it until love is lost. Being in a relationship can create a certain comfort. You lean on someone else, you depend on their presence, their support, their validation. But when that relationship ends and you find yourself in solitude, it can feel like the ground has been pulled out from under you. At first, loneliness seems heavy, almost unbearable. Yet in that very solitude, something powerful begins to happen. You discover your own strength. When a woman loses love and has no choice but to walk alone, she starts to see what she's truly capable of. She begins to realize that she can carry responsibilities she once thought required two people. She can make decisions, manage her life, provide for herself, and face challenges without having to wait on someone to rescue her. That solitude becomes the training ground for her strength, and once she recognizes what she can do on her own, she is never the same again. Think about it. Many women don't find their true power until they are left alone. It is in that quiet space that she learns discipline, focus, and resilience. Alone, she figures out how to pay her bills, build her dreams, raise her children, and create a future for herself. Alone, she learns that she doesn't have to settle for dependency because she is not helpless, she is powerful. That realization transforms her. She begins to walk with a confidence that says, I can handle life on my own if I have to. And when a woman walks in that kind of confidence, She stops tolerating relationships that drain her strength. She no longer clings to people out of fear of being alone, because she knows solitude is not her enemy, it's her training ground. Solitude also gives her clarity. Without the distractions of unhealthy love, she can hear her own thoughts again. She can reconnect with her dreams, passions, and goals. She can give herself permission to grow without waiting for approval. She finds out that the peace she feels alone is often more valuable than the chaos she once endured just to say she had love. That shift changes everything, and here's the beauty. Once a woman has built strength in solitude, she can choose relationships from a place of power instead of desperation. She no longer needs someone to complete her, because she has learned she is already whole. Anyone who enters her life after that is not there to fill a void, but to complement her strength. That's a different kind of love, a healthier love, because it comes from abundance instead of lack. So yes, losing love may feel like the end at first, but solitude turns out to be the very soil where her strength grows. And when she rises from that place, she carries a power that cannot be taken away, because it was built by her, within her, and for her. When a woman loses love, something powerful happens to her vision. While she was in that relationship, especially if it wasn't healthy, her vision may have been clouded. Love can be blinding when it's tied to hope, promises, or potential. She may have put her own dreams on the back burner, telling herself, "I'll get to it later," because she was so busy carrying someone else's weight or trying to make the relationship work. She may have silenced her voice, lowered her standards, and ignored her goals, all because she was focused on keeping love alive. But when that love ends, it's like the fog begins to lift. Suddenly, she can see clearly again. That heartbreak, though painful, becomes the clearing that allows her to step back and ask, what do I really want out of life? She begins to reflect on the passion she once had, the goals she once dreamed of, and the purpose she may have put aside. Sometimes it takes the loss of love for her to finally see the opportunities that were in front of her all along. Vision that was once blurry now becomes sharp. She starts to see herself not just as someone's partner, but as an individual with her own destiny. This shift in vision can be life-changing. Many women birth businesses, ministries, art, and entire movements after heartbreak. Why? Because losing love forces them to redirect all that energy they were pouring into someone else back into themselves. The energy that was once used to fix, to save, or to chase now gets invested into building, creating, and growing. The breakup becomes the fuel for a breakthrough. With clear vision, she also sees the truth about the relationship she lost. She recognizes how much she compromised, how many signs she ignored, how much of herself she gave away. That clarity hurts, but it also empowers her. It makes her determined never to lose sight of herself again. It inspires her to move forward with wisdom, eyes wide open, refusing to fall back into the same patterns. The most beautiful part is that this new vision is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about pursuing destiny. With her heart freed from distraction, she can chase her dreams with focus. She can go back to school, start that business, write that book, or step into leadership roles she never thought she was qualified for. She no longer asks, "Am I enough?" because her vision shows her that she is more than enough. So often women discover their true calling not in the season of love, but in the season after love. Heartbreak has a way of clearing the noise so the voice of purpose can finally be heard. And once her vision has been awakened, she will never again live small. She will see herself as God created her to be powerful, purposeful, and destined for more. One of the greatest gifts a woman receives after losing love is the ability to set boundaries that can no longer be crossed. You see, before the heartbreak, she may have tolerated things she knew deep down were beneath her standards. She may have accepted late night apologies, broken promises, half-effort love, or inconsistent behavior because she wanted so badly to believe in the potential of the relationship. Love made her overlook things that hurt her, but once she's walked through the fire of heartbreak, something inside her shifts. The pain teaches her that boundaries are not optional. They are necessary. A woman who has tasted the sting of betrayal, neglect, or dishonor begins to understand the importance of protecting her peace. She realizes that saying yes to everyone else while saying no to herself is the fastest road to heartbreak. So now she begins to say no without guilt, no to disrespect, no to inconsistency, no to manipulation, no to love that feels more like begging than receiving. These boundaries are no longer negotiable because she has already paid the price of ignoring them once, and she refuses to pay that price again. What's powerful is that boundaries don't just protect her heart, they elevate her life. When she sets boundaries, she changes the way she's treated. She teaches people how to show up for her. She makes it clear that access to her is a privilege, not a right, and those who cannot honor her boundaries quickly remove themselves, which is a blessing in disguise. Boundaries become the filter that removes people who were never meant to stay, leaving room only for those who are capable of loving her the right way. Boundaries also help her honor herself. She begins to recognize that protecting her time, energy, and emotions is an act of self-love. She learns that she doesn't have to explain or justify every decision. Her peace is reason enough. And because she has learned this lesson through pain, her boundaries are firm. They are not just words, they are backed by action. She will walk away from anything or anyone that threatens her peace, because she understands the cost of staying where she doesn't belong. The beauty of these boundaries is that they create space for the love she truly deserves. Once she has learned to shut the door on half-hearted love, she opens the door to healthy love. She makes room for relationships built on respect, trust, and mutual effort. She refuses to settle for potential and instead waits for consistency. That shift is powerful because it guarantees she will never again confuse being chosen temporarily with being valued permanently. So, losing love may have hurt her deeply, but it left her with a priceless lesson. Boundaries are her shield, her protection, and her guide. And a woman who knows how to protect her peace is a woman who can walk in freedom. She will never again beg for the bare minimum because she has learned that she deserves the best. At the end of it all, losing love does something far greater than just healing a broken heart. It awakens a woman's divine power. When she has walked through the storm of heartbreak, when she has cried every tear and questioned her own worth, she eventually comes face to face with the truth. Her power was never in another person. Her power was always within her. Love didn't define her. A relationship didn't complete her. She was whole before, and she is whole now. That realization is where the awakening begins. When a woman steps into this truth, her perspective shifts completely. She no longer sees herself as broken. She sees herself as rebuilt. She no longer views herself as abandoned. She views herself as chosen by God, by life, and by her own decision to rise. Losing love forces her to rely on her source again. It reminds her that she is loved by God, that she is equipped, that she is created with purpose. It is in that moment that she begins to walk in her divine identity, understanding that her worth is not negotiable and her purpose is not dependent on anyone else's presence. This awakening gives her a boldness she never had before. She begins to speak with authority, to live with confidence, to carry herself with a quiet strength that commands respect. She doesn't have to raise her voice or prove her value. It radiates naturally. People begin to notice the shift because divine power cannot be hidden. It shows up in the way she sets her goals, in the way she protects her peace, in the way she no longer entertains anything that drains her. She understands that her time is valuable, her love is valuable, and her spirit is priceless. The beauty of this awakening is that it frees her from fear. She is no longer afraid of being alone, no longer afraid of rejection, no longer afraid of starting over. Why? Because she has learned that everything she needs is already within her. She doesn't chase love anymore. She attracts it. She doesn't beg for acceptance. She commands it by the way she carries herself. Her divine power is magnetic, and it draws the right people, the right opportunities, and the right love into her life. And here's the truth. Once a woman awakens to her divine power, she can never go back to who she was before. She will never again shrink herself to fit into a love that doesn't honor her. She will never again silence her voice to keep someone comfortable. She will never again confuse being tolerated with being treasured. Because she knows now that her power is not tied to anyone else's love. It is tied to her own identity, her own purpose, and the God who created her. So, while losing love may feel like the end of a chapter, it is actually the beginning of her awakening. And once that awakening happens, she walks boldly into her future, carrying the truth that she is powerful, she is enough, and she was destined for greatness all along. So, my sisters, when we talk about losing love, we must stop seeing it only as an ending. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it shakes you to your core. Yes, it feels like a piece of you has been ripped away. But understand this, sometimes losing love is the very doorway to your power. Pain becomes your teacher, showing you lessons you could never have learned in comfort. You rediscover your worth, realizing that your value was never tied to who loved you, but to the fact that you were already chosen, already enough. In the silence of solitude, you discover your strength, proving to yourself that you can stand, you can rise, and you can thrive even when you walk alone. Your vision becomes clear, and you begin to see your purpose, your dreams, and your destiny in ways you couldn't see before. Boundaries become your shield, helping you protect your heart and demand the love you deserve. And ultimately, you awaken to your divine power, the truth that everything you need is already within you. Losing love may break your heart, but it builds your character. It may shake your confidence for a season, but it restores your courage for a lifetime. It pushes you back to yourself, back to your purpose, and back to the God who created you. And once that awakening happens, you are unstoppable. You walk with clarity, with confidence, with wisdom, and with a strength that cannot be shaken. So if you are listening today and you've lost love, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where you rise, where you reclaim your worth, where you set boundaries, and where you walk in the fullness of your power. Because the truth is, sometimes God allows a love to leave your life, not to break you, but to awaken you. And when that awakening comes, you will realize that you never really lost, because in losing love, you found yourself.